Welcome to AFO Wealth Management Forward, a podcast powered by Arrowroot Family Office that's at the intersection of accounting, wealth management, behavioral finance, technology, and entrepreneurship. We help accounting firms and financial advisors grow their practice by going beyond the numbers as we learn from industry leaders and subject matter experts to discover the secret to their success. A podcast that highlights everything from the transformative power of AI to embracing the human-first approach of behavioral finance to help you understand the psychological and emotional relationships to money and meaning. Here is your host, Rory Henry, Director at Arrowroot Family Office and author of Holistic Guide to Wealth Management.
All right, I'm excited to be joined by our next guest. He's a CPA professor, coach, and author of the book, Making a Difference, Life Skills You Can Learn from Sports, Academics, Work, and Failure. He brings real-world insight, whether that's coaching on the field, teaching the classroom, or guiding professionals to unlock their full potential. We're here to talk about earning, learning, and even failure. So without further ado, let me introduce my friend, Cecil Nazareth. Cecil, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Rory. Glad to be here. Thanks for the opportunity. Love to share my insights, both on the good side, on success and failure.
Yeah.
Both. And,
I'm excited to have you share with our audience. We had a conversation. I read your book, and it was very inspirational because you do talk about ways in which we can approach not only business, but also life. So why don't you go ahead and start out and just give the audience a background on yourself and then what led you to writing the book?
Yeah, that's, I was toying with this idea. I had a lot of insight, experience, failure, and I've done basically three things in my life. I played professional sport when I was young. I was in the top 100 in India in field hockey. Played professionally and, did very well. So I wanted to share my insights on skills that I acquired playing sports, professional sports.
Yeah.
I could never play professional sport today with the micromanagement and the microcosmos of talking about before, after the game. But when I played, I enjoyed it every day, good, bad, and ugly. I
Yeah.
learned a lot of skills, winning and losing, very important. I was able to navigate some of those skills and transfer those skills to other disciplines like academics or work or whatever. So that's another good takeaway from sports. I encourage everyone to play sports because you get beat up quite a bit, and that's a good takeaway, because if you haven't taken good losses, then you'll never be a good winner. So a little background: I emigrated to the U.S. I've lived in 4 countries. Emigrated to the U.S. in the early '80s. But very rough the first 2 years. I worked in a flea market. I mopped floors in the Diamond District. But I survived $20 maybe for a week. It was great. But a lot of tough going, I'd call it. And I'd applied to over 500 CPA firms. Not one gave me an opportunity.
Yeah.
But finally, something came through and I got my first gig. And so I want to share some of the lessons I learned from sports, academics. Been a professor for 15 years at Fordham. Love it, both undergrad, grad, and I've done more than 300 sessions worldwide, to be honest, in the last 20 years. So I've had extensive background and experience in coaching and teaching and mentoring. And the book was mainly, the reason I wrote the book was to pass on some of the tips and suggestions to the next generation.
Yeah.
And I learned from all my students, it's not just academic learning. It's one thing to learn from a textbook, but
Right.
it's another thing to apply it. I
And
call
practice.
myself a
Yeah.
practical professor. So I teach them real skills they can use and get a job. I
Yeah.
said, no one is going to give you a job with a degree. They'll give you a job for a skill, right? So tell me what you can do and I'm ready to pay you for it. So simple
Right.
equation, right? So that's the reason for the book, and I wanted to pass on that wisdom to the next generation. And far too often they are discouraged, not motivated, etc.
Yeah, let's talk about this because, many in our audience are in the accounting profession and there's this capacity issue that we have a pipeline problem. Folks aren't studying for the CPA exam. They're taking the accounting majors. So can you talk about really how we can make it more attractive for students out there to really engage in the field of accounting or financial services in general? Because I believe that we are in an impactful profession and we're really helping change people's lives. So it's not just the blocking and tackling, the debits and credits, we're really helping transform businesses or transform people's personal lives. So you can talk about ways in which we can engage the next gen to get involved in the professions?
Yeah, good takeaway. I think from my experience from other countries, Rory, one takeaway: the U.S. accounting is a bad word
Yeah.
terminology wise, right? So
Yeah.
people don't like to be accountants, or the cliche is, I don't want to be a boring accountant.
Right.
But I'll reverse engineer that on you. I'd say, listen, you're the CFO of the Yankees. Yeah.
Yeah. It's great. Let me do it. Sign me up.
Now sign me up, right? Now you need to know accounting before you get there. All
Yeah.
right, we are good. You need to know finance. You need to do all this stuff. So it's not, I don't think we sell the profession in the positive light. We sell it from a boring bean counter light,
Yeah.
which is incorrect. I think where you need to focus on all the major people who are running companies, who are
Yeah.
CFOs signing off on financials. And I think by reverse engineering, hey, do you want to do this? Now it becomes more appealing to me.
Yeah.
We are focused on the means to the product, not the product itself. So
Itself.
I
Yeah.
really focus on, hey, listen, you want to be one of the greatest people of managing rich people's money, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Hey, you want to learn? You want to be a family office? Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Well, who do you want to know in your professional life, right? How many professional players are bankrupt?
Yeah.
Major. So
Right.
now if you
Well,
sell
there's
it in
the,
that
yeah.
light, they're going to buy into that. Say, hey,
Right.
listen, I'll team you up with the professional player. And Rory, you may have a better opportunity than I do. So team up with professional players. Say, listen, we'll manage your money, see how it goes. And if it
Yeah.
works for you, great. If it's not, it's fine too.
Yeah, I'm working on a project right now. I mean, it's a often cited stat from 2009 that I think 78% of NFL players suffer financial distress after
Yeah.
2 years after retirement. 60% of NBA players. So, financial literacy, especially in the sports world, is an issue.
So I would second that. Just focus on the end game and say, listen, in order to get there, you need a little background
Yeah,
on the accounting and finance. That's how I would position it. Now, in other countries, the accounting finance is more a combined profession rather than a split profession. That is the reason in the US, we talk of accounting on one side as boring and finance as exciting. But in other countries, a CA or a CPA is a combined function.
yeah,
They do both, and that
hmm
is where there's a slight differentiation in the US. But I think it's an opportunity. So I would, to encourage more students to get in, I would definitely talk about the positives and being in that spot. I think that
yeah.
would help them grow into that or evolve into that spot.
It,
You can get the CFO of the Yankees. Yeah, I'm talking of any players or any major sports team or whatever. They'll get excited.
Yeah. Well, I know you also talk about having a personality and the importance of storytelling. And, from a young age, you had to immigrate to the US. And so you had to learn the hard way the importance of communication and the need for presentation and storytelling skills. Can you talk about that and the focus on how you're helping students prepare and become better storytellers?
Oh, excellent. I have two presentations in every class. I just work
Yeah.
them very hard.
Yeah.
I tell them the real world is around the corner, my friend. So don't,
hmm
your mother or father is not going to do the presentation for you. So you better get yourself together and start working hard. So what I do for them is like I said, I'm a practical professor. I want to teach them real skills, both life skills, and also I want to teach them real skills, because with real skills, you'll get a job and they'll be able to pay you for it.
Yeah.
With a degree, I can't do anything. You could be a PhD. What am I going to do with that? Right? I'm okay. I'm happy. You can maybe go and do some more research. But what I teach them practical skills. Okay, accounting. So you're running a business. Okay, how are you going to manage this business? Whether you're going to
Yeah.
grow or sell or whatever. Now you're talking, right? I teach them cash flow. Hey, you don't have cash flow. It's like blood flowing through your veins, right? You're
Yeah.
going to
You need
die.
cash flow.
That's
Yeah.
simple. So simple things, you want to teach them the practical side of things and say, okay, how are you going to apply it? Okay, prepare a profit and loss on a balance sheet. Okay, we're
Yeah.
good. Now, let's not focus on the preparing. Now, let's focus on what it means. What is it telling you? I call
It's a
the
story.
financial statements absolutely. Financial statements are a dashboard in a car, right?
Yeah.
If you don't have a dashboard, where are you going to go? You're going to go 100 miles or you're going to crash, one of the two. Or no
Or you're
gas
going
in
the
the
wrong
tank.
way. Yeah.
Yeah, wrong way. Yeah. So you always focus on presentations, but also important value of information
Yeah.
compiled in a way that someone can understand. The second piece is Sometimes financials are too complex and you cannot understand. And
Simplify them. Yeah.
yeah, simplify it. Okay, what's our profit and loss, or how much money did we make this semester, this quarter, and what's our growth pattern? How strong is our balance sheet? Can we withstand some changes? For example, tariffs today. So
Yeah.
is our balance sheet suddenly tariffs go up, your cost of goods goes up, your P&L is out of whack, right? So think of things that are practical. How does it impact your bottom line? And I think that's what makes them a little more intelligent. And all my classes are not scripted. Yeah, I cover the textbook, but I'm very heavy on practical examples.
Yeah.
Today's newspaper. All right, we got tariffs today, but it's not final till July. Now, what are you going to do? Okay, you're
Yeah.
running GM and the tariff goes up 50%. Where are you? That's the question I'd pose to them. So everything is live learning. You have to bring a financial statement to class
Yeah.
and you can learn from your own financial.
And I saw that you don't have a midterm or a final, that
Yes.
you have weekly quizzes. Can you talk about why you did that and how that's
Okay.
applicable to the real world?
Superb.
Yeah.
Right? A midterm or a final is just cramping information into one small
Yeah.
nugget or two nuggets, right? But what a quiz does every week, it's only 10 questions. It's covering, I call it bite size or chunk size of information that you can digest.
Hmm.
So, for example, I just do cash flows. So, your next quiz is going to be only on cash flows, nothing else. One day it'll be profit and loss, balance sheet, cash flows, ratios, but I keep them alive in all those every week. So you're not, it's hard to gather the skill, but when you do small components like a chapter or two chapters, then it becomes a lot more intelligent. They are focused, and then everything counts. Now, I also have bonus points in the class. So if you respond to questions, I'm going to ask you a question. Why is the balance sheet more important than profit and loss, or is it? And when you answer the question right or wrong, I give you bonus points, which gets
Hmm.
added up to your grade. So it's a very interactive class. It's not sitting there and learning accounting and I write a trial balance and make a financial statement on the board. That's not how it's going to work. It's going to be intense. Every week is going to be new. I call it a Broadway show every week, right?
Cecil's putting on a show every week.
I'm serious. Every week. Yeah. So
Yeah.
you don't know what to expect, right? You have to be surprised. You have to read the textbook. You have to know the textbook. Reading before and after the class, absolutely important. What I'm trying to drill into you is the skills. Same thing. Let me take you to the sports world,
Yeah.
right? Would anyone have a midterm and a final in a sports environment? No, they do it every day. You're
Right.
practicing
You
every
would just
day.
practice. Yeah. And you'd have
Yeah.
one game at midseason and you have a,
Yeah, then what's the
a
point,
great,
right?
yeah.
There's no playoffs mid-season, right? So
Right. Right.
you want to focus on everyday practice, and then your skills will improve over every day.
Yeah.
Your skills are not going to improve overnight with one or two hits. So you're going to make sure you're sitting. I give you an example. Aaron Judge, he's practicing 500 shots maybe in the off season every day.
Yeah.
And now when you come to the ballpark, that is just a reflex action, right? So
Hmm.
what I re-emphasize to the students, every week is learning. Every week
Yeah.
is a quiz. Every week is tuning up. So preparing yourself for the real world, right?
Yeah.
And
I
you
know
go
you're,
to
yeah. Go
go
ahead.
to the job, you're not going to be with a midterm and a final. Right? You're going to be hit with everything every day.
Yeah.
So but it prepares them a lot better. And I found their feedback, they love it more than the midterm and the finals. They love
Yeah.
the weekly quizzes and it keeps them on target. And I believe they learn a lot more practical skills because I give them live financials to work with every week.
Yeah.
And that's what helps them get the skill that you need to analyze a financial statement. That's why
Yeah, you make it interesting and engaging, and you're
yes,
forcing them to take those reps. I know you talk about one of the girls that you were training, and she was doing the penalty shots and
yes,
getting those reps in. So when she does have that important shot during game time,
yes,
that she's done it, thousands of times. And you talk about the power of visualization as well, Cecil. Which
yeah.
what I talk about in the work we do with behavioral finance is imagining that future self and creating a vivid visual picture of that future state. So you can more likely make the changes in the here and now to make that happen. Can you talk about the power of the visualization, whether it's in sports or business or life here?
Oh, excellent. That's one of my best questions and answers. I have done more than 5,000 or maybe more penalty strokes in my own life. Now,
Oh, wow.
just focus on one thing, and this will bring another point out. Lionel Messi taking the penalty, or any of the greatest players in the world, now it looks very simple. You're one on one with the goalie, but it is the hardest thing in the world to do. Hardest.
It's a head
And
game.
absolutely. So now think of something that will mess you up. The weight of your club,
Hmm.
country,
Family,
and family, and
community.
everything on your shoulders for that one shot.
Yeah.
Either you win or you lose or you're going home. Now
Yeah.
that is real pressure, right?
Hmm.
So I try to train my mind into tricking myself, saying, "Listen, I don't care. There's nobody in the stands. I'm just alone. I'm one on one with the goalie." And my mindset would be, I should visualize the ball going into the net. And once I did that, my shot was in the goal. I knew it. So that is what you train. So I'll give you a quick 3 or 4 steps. And if you're taking the shot, so you focus, you put the ball on the spot, pick your spot out of the goal, top right, top left, bottom right, bottom left, wherever, right? And once you have locked in, you just visualize the ball going in and take the shot, right? Do not weigh everything else on you, because
Hmm.
once your concentration, once you're distracted, you're out. And if you have
Yeah.
negative thoughts flowing through your head, that shot is definitely not going in. But if you have positive thinking, positive emotions, and you have practiced this, it's only a reflex that top right. In fact, I took a bet when I was a young kid, that I would
Hmm.
score 10 goals penalties before the other guy scored one. And I
Yeah.
won that bet. I couldn't believe I did. It was
Yeah.
just amazing, that the power of visualization. And they would often ask me, Cecil, how are you so confident when all the world's pressures on you? And I'm like, listen, that's training and focus.
Yeah.
So I'd convert that to real world situations, right? Everyone has clutch situations, right? See any sports, the last 3 point shot is a matter of inches, right?
Hmm.
Foot on the line versus foot off the line, or the bottom of the ninth, right? Or a strike versus a ball, that is just, it's excruciating for the players.
Yeah.
Excruciating. I've been there, so I know it. And so I'd urge you to, you have to practice that focus. It won't come automatically. You have to practice. You have to blank out the crowds. You have to blank
Yeah.
out everything and just zero in and focus. In fact, mind over body, it would be why my one sentence if you're taking that penalty spot, whether it's sports, whether it's life, whether it's work. I'm doing a final tax return, complex. I
Yeah.
have no chance to go back and redo. So just double check, double check. I don't take any phone calls, nothing. In that last 2 minutes, it's just my zoning in time. I have to make sure that ball is in. So
Yeah.
that would be a takeaway.
And you talk a lot about focus in the book as well, and really making sure that you don't have any distractions when you are in the classroom or at the office or on the field. You're focusing on the task at hand.
Yes. And I think that's where, I hate to say it, the older generation, a lot more focused, the younger generation, attention deficit.
Yeah.
So
Well, you have
we've been doing.
Instagram and TikTok.
Yeah, yeah, and
It's a
the
fight
phone
against.
is the biggest distractor in the planet, the
Yeah.
phone. So, it's hard for the students, but I use it to my advantage. So I'm going to
Hmm.
say, let's review Apple financial statements on your phone.
Yeah.
So now they are using the phone, but it's Apple financials rather than social media or whatever,
Yeah.
right? But I think they're focused. They need to train themselves, the next generation, on focus. So what I do in my office with the staff, especially the young kids, I tell them, listen, sit down. Let's zero in for 1 hour, right? No phones, no nothing. Once we finish, we're going to have a 15-minute break, right?
Hmm.
And I train them, I discipline them to work towards that goal, right? Don't get distracted. Nothing is that important that you need to pick up the phone. So just blank out the phones, blank out everything, zero in on the target. And once you finish, then you go back to taking a break. And frequent breaks, here's another one I've done.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of webinars. So every hour I took a break, every hour. I do an 8 hour webinar, and they told me mid morning, one break, afternoon. I said, no, 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 I'm not doing that. I'm doing every hour, 10 o'clock, 11, 12, whatever. Right throughout the day, I have a 5 minute break. It works beautifully.
Yeah.
No one can sit down and listen to an 8 hour webinar, especially on tax. You must be
Yeah.
insane. So I tell them to every hour on the hour, a good break.
Yeah. Well, shifting topics a little bit here because it's in the title of your book. I know you talk about failure as a teacher, and I do improv, and I became accustomed to appreciating failure, whether it's on stage or in life. I think it's got to me further along because I became okay with failing. So can you talk about, your, failure as a teacher type of thinking to help move forward in life?
Oh, excellent topic. Uh, Rory, one of my best topics. I failed several times. I did my chartered accountancy in India, which is one of the top three toughest exams, or maybe the top 10 in the world that I know. Less than 10% pass. So
Yeah,
you have to be really, really focused. And that was one of my failures. I never took it seriously. I thought I'd pass. I was playing hockey at that time. I was playing professionally, and I never dedicated the time. And in hindsight, that was my mistake, my failure.
yeah,
And the parents told me you couldn't do both, and I thought they were old-fashioned, but my mistake again.
yeah.
But I think you have to put in the time, whether it's sports, whether it's academic, whether it's work. And I'll tell you two things. Now, that failure is important. It actually set me up for life. In that
Hmm.
zone, you feel very down and out. You feel rejected. You feel you've been abandoned. You don't know why. But I think it's a stepping stone to success. But you have to
Yeah.
develop perseverance. You
Hmm.
cannot abandon ship. You got to stay the course. You
So of
got to
course.
move on.
Hmm.
And I think that would be my advice to people whenever you have failure. In fact, in Silicon Valley, that's a prerequisite.
It's a
If
prerequisite.
you haven't failed, then we don't want you.
You've been taking
Uh,
chances.
yes.
Yeah.
And in sports, failure is important. Like not every day the best teams win. So they have slides. They play bad one day. Even the worst team wins and the best team loses.
Yeah.
Right? You learn failure from that. Not everyone is hitting baseball. You're hitting 300, if at
Yeah.
all, right? I mean, here it's more like 200. So out of 10, 2 out of 10 is not good, no matter how you see it in a statistical model.
Right.
But develop perseverance. Look at things that in a different light. Don't look at failure as a minus. Look at failure as, hey, a stepping stone. Maybe I did not put in my time, or maybe I
Yeah.
didn't look at it as well as I should have. Maybe I didn't have focus. Why did I miss that penalty shot?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was something else was crossing my mind. I did not focus as well as I should have. But I would really encourage the next generation, don't take failure as a minus. I've failed several times in my life, from academic courses and exams to life where I
Yeah.
had chances. I didn't avail of it. I should have done
Yeah.
better. I was the first immigrant at Ernst& and Young, one of the big four, big eight at that time. I was one of the first Asian Americans, and I was given the opportunity. I'll be honest, Rory, but I did not avail of it as much as I
Mm.
should have. I I I take responsibility. I don't blame it on anyone else. I
Yeah.
think, hey, I should have done better. I was representing the whole Asian community, but
Hmm.
I did well, but I could have done better. And I take responsibility for that, not anyone else. Don't blame
Yeah.
anyone else for that. So,
Yeah.
but it helped me grow. It helped me alleviate some pain. But now I give back. And that's an important fact of failure too. Once you succeed, then
Succeed.
your
Giving back.
obligation to give back. Correct.
Yeah. I know you talk about accountability and giving back, and then I know you really touch on lifelong learning and being that lifelong learner. I think you quoted Albert Einstein there. That I think he said something along the lines of, "The only thing that interferes with learning is education."
Yeah.
Yeah. I never teach my pupils. I only attempt to provide them the conditions for which they
Yeah.
can learn. Right.
Yes. Exactly
Yes.
correct. Exactly
Yeah.
correct. So be a lifetime learner. So I'll give you my own example. I navigated several fields from accounting to finance to technology. Uh, I've had a lot of great jobs, a lot of different areas, but I continuously learn. So I'll give you an example. My wife one day bought me a guitar as a surprise gift, and then I went
Yeah.
to a local community and started learning guitar. I've never seen a note in my life. I've never
Yeah.
done music, but I loved it. I did it for 3 years, and I got the basics and enjoyed it. So a lifetime learning doesn't have to be in your field. Now
Hmm.
just change gears, change. Now, when I left the AICPA way back in 2009, now it's 15 years, I decided to build an international firm, accounting and
Yeah.
international tax in 10 years, and I did. My firm is very specialized, so I can do major international accounting, international
Yeah.
tax, and that's what you have to plan. That's what you got to do. So don't just get hung up on your core expertise. But one comment also here, Rory: reading, reading, and reading in
Yeah.
your field and outside your
Outside
field.
your field.
Yeah, that
Nonfiction, fiction. Yeah.
correct,
I know you
correct.
talk, and I'm a big believer in skill stacking and the
Yes,
importance of networking and developing cross over skills, especially in today's day and age with AI and the ability to have a number of different skill sets and stacking them can be extremely valued to, to employers out there, or if you're, starting your own business or growing a business, it's crucial to have a number of different skills that you can provide unique value to folks.
yes. And I think here's a big takeaway. Most people go to college, they want to earn a degree, right? And I have nothing against that. Don't get me
Yeah.
wrong. I'm a professor, so. But I think where we don't sell it, we don't sell skills. We got
Mm.
to focus on skills, skills. I asked my students, a plumber comes to your house. Do you ask him what certificate he has, which college he went to, right? You don't, right? So
No.
he's come there, he's going to fix your pipe and he's going to move on to the next
Yeah.
job, correct?
Yeah.
What skill does he have to fix pipes, right? An electrician, a plumber, whatever, a sports person, anyone. I ask a simple value equation question, right? What skills do you have to give the world and how can I pay you
I
for it?
could pay
That's
for it.
it.
Yeah.
Everything else is rubbish, right? If you have marketable skills, it'll work. Now, how are the skills transferable? That's another good question. So I learned a lot of skills actually in sports, right?
Hmm.
Winning and losing, focus,
Discipline.
taking
Yeah.
back discipline, resilience, right?
Hmm.
Okay, you're going to have bad days. Now, how do you handle the bad days? Oh,
Yeah.
that's important, right? If you focus on all the negative things that went on, then you're gone. But if you say, hey, that was yesterday, man, today is a different
Yeah.
day.
New day. Yeah.
New day. I'm going to get up there and I'm going to score that goal. I'm going to elevate my country, my club, whatever.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset you need in work too. Don't focus. You're going to have bad clients. Don't think they're all going to be nice and rosy and everything is going to work out. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to let them down, but you turn around. So, for example, we make a mistake on a tax return. We call the client, tell them, listen, something happened here, but what we're going to do is we're going to fix your return for free. We'll file the amended. We'll take care of it. Don't worry
Yeah.
about it,
Yeah.
and we'll waive some of our fees. They love that. And then if you still feel that we are not the right firm for you, if you want to go to another firm, we respect that also.
Yeah.
So no worries, no worries. We're good.
That's a return on relationship type of way of doing business there, Cecil.
Yes,
So you're
exactly right.
speaking you're speaking my language. Well,
Yes,
let's wrap up here because I want you to touch on the 24/7 earnings cycle because we are the Wealth Management Forward show, and so I'd love to have you talk to our audience about this 24/7 cycle and how during the day we're earning, but we can have our investments working for us when we're sleeping. So can you talk about that part of what you teach and advocate for?
excellent. Rory, this is my best topic. In fact, I wanted to title the book 24/7, and then Hank changed my mind. But,
Yeah.
I did research quite a bit on why people are rich and why people are poor. And I,
Hmm.
I, I just was looking at that angle. We have clients who are really wealthy and some who are really struggling. So what I came up with, my conclusion is during the day you work for money,
Yeah.
and the tax rate in the day is pretty high. It's close to 40% when you include Social Security, etc. And in the night, the tax rate is only 20 because it's on passive investment and the capital gains rate max is 20. So I came to the conclusion, work during the day and let money work for you at
For
night.
the
So
night.
during
Yeah.
the day you work for money, night reverse the cycle, let money work for you. And if there's one thing I would recommend to all the young people, would be start early, right?
Start
So
early.
yeah, start at 20. So let me give you a quick example. So start at
Compound. Yeah.
20, right? Compounding. So you take $6,000. You're at 20 years old. You put 6,000 in an IRA. Run it for 30 years. It's $180,000. And if it's invested at 10%, you're talking 1.1 million at when you're 50. And if you hold on to the 60, you're talking 1.7 million. It's a very simple concept, just
Yeah.
$6,000. I'm not talking some phenomenal number, but I think it's a discipline. It's a
Hmm.
financial discipline. But I think it's an untold story, in my opinion,
Yeah.
untold story of how money makes money. So
Yeah.
let me quote you Warren Buffett. He says, if you can't figure out a way to make money at night, then you'll work till you
So you
die. And
die. Yeah.
maybe he added that you'll die poor. I don't know. He didn't say that, but
Right.
but that's your take, right? You're going to
Yeah.
the treadmill. Your whatever money comes in is going out. So you have very little bandwidth for money is not making money for you. You're just in that hamster wheel and you're out. So I really recommend everyone. So my students, I insist they open an account, brokerage account
Yeah.
for at least $100 at beginning of the semester. And I've received hundreds of comments. I've finished 15 years as a professor. Till today, they send me a message, Professor,
Thank you.
thanks. Thanks. That was the great suggestion you gave me. I've grown. Some of them have become millionaires before 30. Right.
Yeah.
So it's important. So
Uh,
uh, I'd recommend a 24/7 earning cycle. So purchase the book, get some few nuggets out of it, and I'm sure it'll inspire you to do great things.
Yes, I love it. Well, let's end it on there, Cecil. That's an inspiring note to end it on. If people want to learn more or get the book, what's the best way to do so?
Two places. It's on Amazon to begin with, and then it's also on my website, nazarethcpas.com. On my side, we'll ship you a hard copy. I think on Amazon, there's just the e-version of the book.
Mhm.
And let me give a few final thoughts
Yeah.
before we can wrap it up. So, final,
Yeah.
ask yourself difficult questions in life. Don't go with the soft answers, things like that. Second, self-assessment is and introspection very important.
Yeah.
Don't blame your problems on the world, and you're not them and they're not you. So, use your talents for the benefit of others. So, God gives you talents, but it's for you to make money, but also for to share it with others,
Share the
and
world.
that's
Yeah.
why they gave you the talents. So learning for life, right? Be intellectually curious. I
Mhm.
visited Italy with a city of Pompeii,
Yeah.
700 BC,
Yeah.
and it blew me away that I wish I had paid more attention in class, but it was a
Mhm.
classroom for me. I really enjoyed learning about that civilization. Last, give back. As my mother said, giving is better than receiving. So,
Mhm.
with that few thoughts and comments, I encourage you to take the book, read it. It's only $30. If it changes your life and you want to call me, ask me for questions, or give me some feedback, I'm always appreciative of any comments, suggestions. And Rory, this was just excellent. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to share my thoughts, ideas, and
Of-
I wish I was 20 again to play sports. That's the only thing I can tell you.
Of course, Cecil. I'm sure you're not too bad even at your age. I appreciate you coming on the show, and I'll put all that information on the show notes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Cecil. Take care.
You have a great day.
All right,
Bye.
take care.
All opinions expressed by Rob Santos and Rory Henry on this website podcast interview are solely their opinions and do not reflect the opinions of Arrowroot Family Office LLC or their parent company or affiliates, and may have been previously disseminated on television, radio, internet, or another medium. You should not treat any opinion expressed by anyone as a specific inducement to make a particular investment or follow a particular strategy, but only as an expression of their opinions. Past performance is not indicative of future results.